Hello everyone and welcome to the DMside. First of all, huge shout out to every single one of you who has subscribed. We're sitting on 38 subscribers already and I'm over the moon about that. 38 in 2 weeks is a massive achievement for a small YouTube channel. So it just really warms my heart, along with the comments that you've been commenting, that people are finding value and enjoyment from these videos. So I really want to aim for 50 subscribers by the end of the month. It's a huge ask. There's 12 days left, which means there are 12 subscribers, one per day. If you know anyone that would be interested in this video or the past videos and this idea, send them a link, share the video to them, let them know, because I'd love to have them along, because I find there's a lot of value in making these videos for people. It's a real hands-on, sitting down, just talking camera to person. Everyone there that's watching this, I appreciate you being here. So if you are a new viewer, welcome. I really appreciate that you are watching this video. I hope you find some value from it. And consider subscribing at the end maybe. It's just one click of a button and we're good to go. Now you may also have noticed this new setup that I've got. Things have changed on a bit of a different angle. Same room, different setup. So I finally moved off of the couch, because prepping on a couch, I just fall asleep too often. I went and bought a table. It's made things so much more easier. I can see everything. I've got my iPad, I've got my Mac, I have my notebook, I've got the actual book itself ready to go. And it's actually just made things so much easier for prepping, as well as setting up for filming. So if you would like to see the setup, I actually am putting up photos of the current setup right now on the Instagram of @DMside641. Head on over there. You can comment on any of the videos and even send me a message. We can chat D&D. I absolutely love talking about D&D. So feel free to message me about your campaign, about how my videos are going, or any ideas you may have, because I love new ideas. Collaborating is like the biggest thing in D&D. So feel free to send me some ideas. Now, let's get on to the recap. Last week's recap went for way too long. It was 10 minutes, so we're gonna cut this one down to 5. So, step 1, the very first thing the players did is they went to Troll Skull Manor and they dealt with Lif, the Spectre. He was staying there, scaring away anyone who came in because he didn't want them to tear down and ruin the tavern that he once loved. Now, I did place a little mini story in there where they found newspaper clippings of how profitable the tavern was to, you know, maybe get them to rebuild it, as well as some threat letters from competitors and some greedy guild members who were wanting a little bit more from that profit, who didn't get it. And it actually alludes to them destroying his tavern, destroying his legacy, and even murdering him. So the players have a lot that they can find out from there. They can move on, and there's a lot of story to be told. Basically, they soothed Lif's soul and they told him, you know what, we're gonna rebuild this tavern, we're gonna make it better than it was before, and we want you to work in it. So avoiding the law of specters, and I know things don't really change that much, but bringing in the rule of fun, I changed, because they soothed him, I changed his specter form and he turned into a full-fledged ghost who can interact with things, can't talk but can understand. He taps it for yes, 2 taps for no, two taps for no, 1 tap for yes, for any yes or no questions, and now they refer to him as Tappy. And when they rebuild it, their sort of selling point is going to be, what tavern in Waterdeep has a spirit who sells spirits? So I think it's a fantastic idea and I'm really excited to see how that goes. So that's the very first thing they did. They went and met all the NPCs in Troll Skull Alley except for Vincent Trench. They just didn't go in there because his place wasn't open. I mean, they could have knocked and he probably would have been in there, but oh well, unfortunate. So they went around, they met everyone, they figured out how much it would actually cost to get the tavern up and running. I found out it's actually going to cost them 1,000 gold pieces, as well as more costs reoccurring every single month, taxes, putting food in the place, wine in the place, hiring people, getting it all up and running, things like that. So now they've realized, oh, you know what, before we continue on with trying to find this treasure that Dagolt Neverember is apparently hidden in Waterdeep, we actually need to get our place set up, you know? We're going to be paying taxes soon. We can't be living in this place that is literally falling apart. So now they're invested in rebuilding the tavern, and that's opened up a lot of ideas, a lot of moments for them collecting money essentially and doing jobs to earn money, which is where our next part comes in. Part 3, each character was visited by some form of guest to offer them membership into a faction of sorts, just as the book says that you can do. So Hootie, while he was on his own in his room, he had a paper bird fly in and offer him tickets to the opera to come and see Mert and perhaps be part of a group of sorts that he may be interested in. Raynar Neverember had recommended him, so he definitely took that down to the group. The next morning explained to them, hey, we have these tickets, I'd like to go see this potential informant. So that was the very first thing. Then we had Damien Steadfast, my favorite one probably of all of them because it came on to a running joke. He was visited by some cats. And the cats were just hanging around, seeing him. They were very cute. They were up on the windowsill. One turns to him and just sprouts from its mouth, "Would you be interested in joining the Emerald Enclave? Join us at Falconmere, noon tomorrow." And that was it. So it became a running joke that he was like getting spam mail from all these cats. Like, "Would you like to join the Emerald Enclave? Damien, where are you? Come to Falconmere, noon tomorrow." And it just rolled on. Like one of those great improv things that players make happen and you just couldn't plan for. So that's going to be a running joke for ages. And so he told the group and they agreed that tomorrow morning they're going to go off and do that. Downstairs, Jagged Jack and Dr. Smiles, they were with Watch. And I didn't really want to have Watch see them get their invitation because their one was from the Zentarum. So once Dr. Smiles went upstairs, a snake with a scroll flew on in with its wings, dropped it on his lap, and all it read out was, "Want to be part of something big? Come see Devil Starsong at the Yawning Portal. Bring your sharp-toothed friend." And that was it. He did secretly tell Jagged Jack, but eventually they told the group and they agreed that come the morning, they would fit that into the day. Finally, Watch. In the morning, Watch was visited by Savra. Let me check my notes. Her name is Savra Bellabrenta, and she, funnily enough, is from the Princess of Apocalypse story, which I ran last year. She didn't die, so it's in the same world, it's canon, it's actually awesome, and yeah, I actually just loved that. So she used to be a Howling Hatred. If you're playing Princess of Apocalypse, you may have already met her. If you haven't, it's not a big spoiler, she's just a character in the world. But now she's trying to atone for her sins, and she's joined the Order of the Gauntlet and offered membership to Watch, who has agreed to take it, which is really interesting because he's part of the City Watch, known as a possession. So the very next morning, this is a long recap. The very next morning, the players set off to go and do what they needed to do to see these factions. They went as groups. First stop was going to a Fine Furs tailor's place because they needed fine clothing to go to the opera. After some bargaining, they managed to agree on a price and get all of their fine furs sorted and to come pick them up later on in the evening. Hootie putting on a very nice posh accent for this encounter, and they got to meet a really cool character that I made up on the spot who had this magical tape that would fling off and fly around and measure up everyone just to get the measurements, and they would note it down. So it was just a fun little magic item that I liked. Then after that, they went to the Yawning Portal, and Jagged Jack and Dr. Smiles met, what's his name? Jagged Jack and Dr. Smiles met Devil Starsong. They also met Yagra, who was the one who escorted them to him. He offered them membership into the Zentarum. Now, that's also where they found out that the Zentarum isn't really one big group. It is a big group, but there's many cells along the way. And they found out that a different cell from the Zentarum has actually come into Waterdeep and is causing troubles. Now, that's the whole Manchun side of things. So we'll get into that later on if he comes up. Basically, they're part of the Doomsday Zentarum who have been in Waterdeep the whole time. They're the ones who want to meet with Xanathar and build a stronger guild, whereas Manchun's coming in, he wants to see for himself. And so that's where the whole debacle became between the two guild factions. Oh my goodness. Another thing that I forgot, Devil Starsong actually gave them a mission to go down to the dock ward and find out who was killing off elf and half-elves at night. So that's where they got to come into contact with Jaxel Bainray's people. And that is actually what I'm really excited about because that is a way that Jaxel Bainray is going to hear of these characters. One, either by one of his top 3 lieutenants being killed and him going looking as to why, or 2, the top lieutenant getting away and telling the story of this group that got in his way and may be a problem in the future. So I'm really happy that they took on the Zentarum offer. Now, they're not full members just yet. That may happen in time, and if they do, they'll probably have to get a tattoo, which is going to be so sick. Then we followed Damien's trip, and he went all the way down south to go and meet with Mellinor Fellbranch. I've got my notes next to me just in case I forget. Mellinor Fellbranch. Mellinor Fellbranch is the voice of the cat, and then he went into this really cool magical garden place that's protected essentially by this like half deity person who then offered him membership into the Emerald Enclave. He's been a really interesting character because he doesn't want to kill people. Anyway, that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that on another video, but the point is he joined the Emerald Enclave and now he's going to go and sort out some scarecrows for some farmers. Adding to the scarecrow encounter, rather than just being the scarecrows and they kill the scarecrows and it's whatever, I've decided that there is a hag who has years ago, like 13 years ago, specifically that number, stole a child from one of the farmers, ate the child, produced her own baby, and then put it back, none the wiser. Now, 13 years later, according to hag lore, that kid is going to turn into a hag on her 13th birthday. So the hag is actually casting these ritual spells and using arcane magic to summon these scarecrows to cause distractions so that way the child can get away before she fully transforms and is potentially killed. The reason that the hag wants this child is because she has a second one, oh, shock horror, in the city wall. Same thing's gonna happen a month later. And she's trying to create a coven because she wants to move into the city and take the territory of the city from a night hag who claims the city of Waterdeep as her territory as a hag. So that's gonna be really fun for them to play around with. The hags will try to get away, they may kill them. If they do, they'll hear stories about some girl changing into a hag, and that'll just be a cool throwback in a month. Or maybe they won't kill it, and then they'll have to deal with a coven coming in later in a month trying to destroy this night hag. It's all going to be very fun to play around with. I can't wait to see how the characters deal with this situation. Finally, we had to deal with Watch, and now Watch had to go and basically give his resignation for the Watch. Now, he did choose the correct one to go to. Any other captain would have said, no, you can't resign. You're actually a possession of the city. You aren't part of the Watch seen as a person, which is an internal thing for him. It's very interesting. But he chose the correct captain. They met one back in session 1, and I decided long ago that that person was going to be someone that cared about him and felt bad for him and actually wanted him to be better than what everyone else deemed him to be worth. And so when he heard about his resignation, he said, you know what, I'm okay with this. Go do what you need to do. If you ever want to come back, please do. You're always welcome back in the Watch in the Dock Ward. So that was a really nice moment. They ended up selling some paintings, getting some money, and then off they went to go collect their fine clothes to go to the opera. Now, the opera, we had a real big throwback because it's the opera of the Rise of Tiamat, and so I got to kind of tell. It's almost like if you've seen the Avatar episode where Aang goes and watches the Fire Nation's play of his journey. It's like that happened, but for an older group of owls doing Rise of Tiamat, the story. So that was really funny, good little jokes here and there, good throwbacks. So it was really cool. And I really like that. And so that's the recap. Pretty much after that, they got all their missions. And so next session, I'm expecting them to do these missions. Wow, we did that in probably not 5 minutes, but we're getting quicker. So, what have I decided to plan for next session? Now, they all have their missions, and I didn't really go over them in the recap, but basically I'm expecting Hootie to want to go and find a talking horse. His mission is to go find this talking horse named Maxine, who keeps an eye on who's coming in and out of the city for the Harpers. He is a Harper now, he's got the badge and everything. His first mission is to find out about some ill-advised Zentarum coming in. So not the Doom Raider people, but actually Mantune's people. So that's going to be really interesting because then we're going to get some names and we're going to get a lead and they're going to probably do some more investigation on who these people are. So I'm expecting that to happen. As far as he knows, the horse, Maxine, really only talks to children because they're very innocent. And so him being a halfling, I'm expecting some disguises to come in, a lot of roles for persuasion, deception, things like that. He should be fine with it. I'm not sure what the other characters will do. They'll probably try and distract guards and stuff because someone talking to a horse is either going to look crazy or it's going to give away the horse as an informant. Moving on from that, Damien, his whole scarecrow thing that I explained previously, that will take a day at least. So I am expecting them to spend a long time on that. That could even take the whole session depending on how they go about it. So if they start with that, that could definitely be the whole session, if not at least half of the session. We'll take some rests in between. We'll take a long rest overnight because that's going to be a full day's worth in-game. Moving on for that, Giorno and Jack, sorry, Giorno is Dr. Smiles. So if I ever say Giorno, I actually mean Dr. Smiles. They're the same person, just different names. Anyway, the point is, they're going to really push to go and find out who's killing elves in the dock ward. The best thing about the Zentarum in this situation is that they aren't actually asking the players to do anything illegal and to kill someone. They're actually asking them to go and stop someone from killing someone to help the watch. Now, they don't know why this is a big deal. They don't know why the Zentarum want that. And they know it's probably for nefarious reasons, which, let's face it, it is. But the point is, it's actually a great way to introduce Jaxel Bainray's character, or at least the idea of who he is. So they're going to see the boats and all the carnival stuff, and it's going to be very suspicious. I can already see them getting excited and going, that's going to be a problem later on, which it will be. So, also guns. There's a drow gunslinger. Like, we're all very excited for guns. I'm keen to see that. It's a very cool gun. I'm probably going to shoot Jagged Jack if he gets in the way. He's the barbarian. He's most likely to get up in front, and then he's going to get hit by a poison bullet, which is going to be awesome. I hope he won't. I don't expect him to die, but it's going to be very cool. After that, we have Watch. Watch will be, he hasn't been given a mission yet, so we're actually going to roleplay his ceremony, him being inducted into the Order of the Gauntlet, and his group being witnessed, so that way, should anything happen, then there are witnesses who have actually signed and officiated the fact that he is now part of the Order of the Gauntlet. So it's going to be a real character turn for Watch, really giving him more, not power, but more personal... more personal investment in in himself. So that's gonna be very cool. And outside of that, I'm hoping that they're just going to earn some more money and start getting the tavern rebuilt. But 1,000 gold is a lot, and right now I think even if they get all their missions done, they're only gonna come out with around 400 gold pieces. So we'll see where that goes from there. Who knows what happens after that? Comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know that it was a long one. I'm trying to keep them at around the 15-minute mark. I know this is probably gonna go for 20 minutes, but at the end of the day, it's quicker than last week, and that's what matters. Let me know how your games are going. Let me know what advice you would have for me. And most of all, just enjoy D&D, and thanks so much for watching these videos, and I will see you in the next video.